All right, we are streaming and we are recording. Let's get this started. All right, guys. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Eve Station trading stream again. We are again joined by the Anathema tonight.
Thanks for having me again.
Yep, no face cam though. That's all right.
Oh yeah, technical difficulties today.
Oh man, I know all about technical difficulties. Growing pains of a streamer, right? Oh my lord,
Yep.
it's madness. All right, so going through our kind of what we normally go through, going through our picks from last week. We're gonna defer mostly our buys that we picked out from last week. It's a lot of it we're gonna go over again today, because it's got to do with some relevant recent information. All right, so that's specifically the mining excavator mining drones, its requisite materials, and we'll touch on skill injectors as well. But let's go over some of the items that we called out from last week. The first one is the Pith A type small shield booster. Man, I'm still kind of salty that I
It's
really
been a
missed out
while,
on this.
right? Right?
I'm sorry.
It's been a it's been interesting this item. I don't really know what to make of it.
Yeah, I guess I'm pretty salty about it, to be honest. I totally missed the boat on this really long buy phase, but I was anticipating it to actually go lower. I should have just followed it, but I didn't. I mean, honestly, I just didn't. So looking at this, guys, it's still if you bought this when we started last week, you'd be in a position to actually sell it now. So it's sitting at, so that would have been about 55 or so, and it's hitting 70 right now. That's pretty good.
Mhm.
So even if you were to just trade it right now, now that it is showing sell signals.
It also went through a few cycles I had before, so it's I wouldn't wait either, I think.
Yeah, I was just anticipating it to be more clockwork, I guess, and that's why I really should study its particular charts a little bit more. So even right now, if you were to just flip these, it's 17% before taxes. It's pretty good.
Yeah, pretty
62
good.
buy, 74 sell. I feel like I'm probably not gonna go into it, even though it is showing generous margins, because it feels like it's about to head down. Actually,
I feel like with a few units, it's not that big of a risk. Just day trading with a few units, just catching whatever happens, would be
yeah,
good. But not holding on too long on the buy order side, I guess that's a good idea.
yeah, it's definitely a flip item. Like right now, the most recent median is actually reading below the 5-day moving average, which is that's kind of it's really strange. Like it had 4 days of sell signals. Now it may head back down to buy signals.
Mhm.
All right, the next item we looked at, guys, was the social adaptation chip improved. So that's one of the plus fives.
I actually quite like the charisma implant because they usually buy a little lower than the others and they sell a little bit at the
Yeah,
same
it's a
price
little
as the
bit more
others.
generous margin.
It's still
It's definitely out of all the plus five implants, I've gotten the most profit per item. Definitely out of the social ones and the memory ones for sure.
that's no surprise really.
Yeah,
I think memory and what does it say on intelligence? Those are gonna be like hot for as long as ghost. I mean, not well. I mean, ghost ring is one thing, but I was thinking about extractor farms are a thing because that's basically what you want to use, right?
yep. I just linked, guys, the our Discord channel. It dumps you right to our general channel, so feel free to join us. It's kind of like it's an open comms type format.
Yeah, it would be fun if someone else joins.
Yeah, actually, really would be. All right, the next item that we looked at, melted nanoribbons. I'm still holding on to these suckers, man.
Still moving up and everything.
They've been going. It's definitely much more cyclical in the last 2 weeks. If you were to have bought this, when we called this out last week, you would have gone through a whole sell cycle, and now it's back up to potentially another buy cycle. It's really good. It's been well, I won't say really good. It's really strange that it's the pace of the buy and sell cycles of the melted nanoribbons seem to be getting faster, when historically it tends to go through these really long trends at a time. So I don't know if that's folks trying to offload the stuff and the prices kind of get really competitive as they're doing it.
I'm not sure what to make of it, because while there's gonna be some changes to T3 cruisers, I don't believe they're gonna be as bad as people make it to be. Because while they're gonna be less tanky, it doesn't impact their role that significantly that they're gonna completely drop off the face of the earth if it's just that. Because there's the utility part of things, basically, which is to have tankier cruisers that are also fast, like cruisers as well, and also able to actually fill a lot of different roles, such as the web-based Loki, the logistics Legion and Loki. There's a lot of little roles like that that T3s are really good at. Now you might not see full T3 cruiser armor fleets if they get less interesting than battleships, but then now again battleships have become a lot more expensive right now, so this is still
Yeah.
everything off balance now, right?
I mean, it's super manic, and it's like it's like an emotional mania. You're like, oh, I gotta buy this shit because I can't fucking super red anymore. It's like, come on, bro. Fuck's you know what I mean?
I'm disappointed though. I didn't see like any cheap carriers or carrier blueprints yet on the market.
No, dude. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I totally made out like a bandit when that happened. Totally made out like a bandit. It's like it almost looks rigged. How much money I made on that thing? Oh my god. It looks fucking rigged. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, as a longtime wormholer, you know what? I'm concerned that within the last, I would say, 2 years, even like you don't even see Tech threes in wormholes for PvE purposes, because they've been eclipsed by pirate cruisers. Gilas, Ishtars when they were better, stuff like that.
Mhm.
Oh, hey, Toasty Waffles 456. Chilled out market streams. I know, man. It's not that many of them. There really should be more, because it's one of the more, I think, chilled platforms to talk about for Eve. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, don't you think that their role as mainline doctrine ships is going to be more relegated now? It looks like they're going to be relegated more to a support role or anti-support role, right?
I mean, if buffer is the issue, I'm not sure, because usually with T3Cs, buffers is already, you got a bit of headroom on that side of things, because your signature is so small, you're so fast, your tank factor is still, you got still room to actually play with. Except if the meta switches to a lot more of alpha damage. I mean, it seems to be going this way now, with Machiavells being what they are, and nightmares popping up around, and sometimes having the critical mass to just one-shot things. I think there's a possibility that they won't be mainline anymore, but they'll still be mainline for whatever needs to be fast, such as going through wormholes, kiting, anything like that. Anything that needs to be fast is still going to be T3Cs, I think.
Yeah, that's fair. Sammy J here said, also with pirate battleship changes, will Tech 3s resume their previous role in fleet doctrines? If you're talking about the recent price changes for pirate battleships, I don't think that's going to be relevant in the long term. Because to be honest,
It's gonna help a little bit, but yeah, not that much.
yeah, I mean, right now it is, but eventually it'll settle down. It's just an absolute mania right now. He also said, Sammy J also said, will males take their place again? Alpha fleets for cheap doctrines? Tough to say. I mean, because at the end of the day, the is an alpha fleet gonna be better in its like right now versus in an environment where you have Faxes, in an environment where you have Tech 3 cruisers are gonna be more support like. I mean, it's tough to say, to be honest.
I mean, even after the nerf, Mackerel isn't that expensive. I mean, if you count the price of minerals will be about to double. Let's just assume that. It will still mean you're flying a 700 million ship with like standard fits. So it's not expensive. 700 million now is half a plex. I mean, that's
Yeah,
250 new plex, but when you can farm that in an hour, it doesn't seem that expensive, really. And actually, you can actually still farm that in an hour. It's just a little bit slower, but
yeah.
nothing the damage is like only part of the thing because you still have to warp around, you still have to do a lot of stuff. I mean, 10% damage reduction is like under 5% like income reduction or something like that, I think.
Yeah, and at the same time, is that income reduction really that painful? Is 5% of a big pot really that painful?
Yep.
Yeah. Also, Simon J here says Dot Live members will pay 600 million plus for a pirate battleship hull. Gets expensive, true, but this kind of sucks. But for large entities like the Imperium, where they have very robust SRP programs, you just need to buy the hull once, like literally, and that will get you through because of their SRP program. If you
even without SRP, I mean T3Cs that run are like easily 1 billion plus the skill loss right now, and they run, and they die sometimes, and they get replaced. I mean, it's just a fact of life in Nullsec right now.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, the idea of the ship replacement programs is brilliant, but at the same time, it does take a lot of that onus away from the individual member, right? Because then it becomes kind of this. As long as you can prop up the larger entity, you as the individual will be okay.
I think it disincentivizes risk on the alliance level, which can be a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing if you just want to have your space, have fun with it, and defend it. But as soon as you have a SRP program that's pretty aggressive like that, you're not gonna just go for fights, right? You're not gonna go for fights because you can. Because it would not be a good idea, right?
Dr. Crusham says, why are faction battleships sell of the week? Wouldn't a long-term hold be more profitable once the drop rates, increase minerals, start take effect on supply? That's a really good question. Right now, I'm calling them as sell of the week because they are showing incredible sell signals. They just are. they just are right now. People are panic buying these things right
now. Sell everything. I mean, while the market sorts itself out, it's because people will still also. I mean, people are hoarding them somehow a little bit, and at the same time, ships still have to be replaced in BAP. So I mean, those two things together, and the fact that everyone's rushing to actually either hoard them, build them, or whatever, it's probably just a good time to just send the panic while the
just basically respond to the panic. Also, Dr. Crusher followed up with, you don't think they will increase more over time or unsure, so better to cash out now? Yeah, that's the thing with. So I'm not that good with macroeconomic fundamental analysis type of reviews of the markets in ETH. I'm really a technical analysis guy. That's my bread and butter. So mostly because I'm not a speculator. So if the market is saying due to things being bought and sold, is saying, hey, you should really sell this item right now, then my response is to sell that item right now. Because to do otherwise, I'm playing in the realm of speculation, which I'm really not good at. Do I think they will increase more over time? I don't think so, because we've
It depends on
proven.
CCP.
I'm sorry.
Because they haven't announced like the new price of making faction battleships, have they?
No, they just from the latest patch notes, it is noted that they've changed the drop rates. However,
And they're going to increase also the mineral cost of building them. That's the main
man, it's
thing.
almost irrelevant to be honest with you. You know, they
Oh.
have to be drastic.
Oh, I think it's very. I mean, I think this is the second part that's important because everyone's rushing to get the blueprints right now.
Oh yeah.
Like everyone. I mean, of course, it could be that the people are overestimating the drop rate, but I wouldn't be surprised to hear CCP announcing that they will double the mineral cost for everything. And right now, you have to think that all of the pirate battleships are valued as if, let's say the drop rate doesn't change significantly. Then to make up for that, the prices, I mean, the cost of minerals will have to be 2 to 3 times what it is now to arrive at the same price we have today. So either the mineral cost at least doubles and the drop rate kind of worsens, and we get the same price as today. But anything less bad than that for the price is gonna mean the prices are gonna go down from now.
Yeah, it's these volatile times, man. It's profitable times. All right, what other items?
I'm not complaining. Yeah.
Nope, not complaining at all. You know what? Nope. Our cells from last week with the Genuolution series of implants. Let's quickly go through these real quick. Starting with the 2, 3, and 4. They continue to show cell signals all through. Actually, continuing to do it to today. That was the 2s, still showing cell signals. The 3s are also showing cell signals, which is really odd. Like the median is actually right at the upper edge of the Donchian channel. So definitely more. It's a very sustained price movement.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I wanted to actually just get rid of. I mean, I wanted to stop buying them maybe about 1.5 weeks ago, but it seems to be still going strong. I mean, it seems to be going.
I've never used them, so I don't know why. I mean, are they useful at all for the drone boats?
Yes, they're really useful for not for carriers, for faxes and dreads because they improve self-rep amount greatly.
Huh, interesting. Well,
so when you go into triage, then you have the generation set, which allows you to rep yourself a lot more.
That's interesting. I didn't know that. I'm not a big implant guy.
That's what they use.
I'm such a noob, now. Man. I don't use implants.
I mean, then of course the PvE people are also using them, probably because I mean self-rep is also important for missions and stuff like that. But PvP sees them a fair bit. But I guess you don't lose that many generation pods usually.
Yep.
It's more for those type of thing, it seems.
And also we noted cells from last week, Macarials. We'll go over the pirate battleships again because they're super nuts right now. As far as recent transactions, I sold almost all of my stock of +5 implants. So I was able to capture a whole lot of them, like almost all together, and then sell them all together. It's really good. Also, during the shooting of the monument over the weekend, I sold over 800 units of meta DCs. Just because I wish I had meta weapons actually on sale, but I didn't have any. But I sold a lot of the like meta tank items, and that just happens to be what I had on stock over the weekend. So if you guys didn't know, over the weekend there was a small shooting of the monument event happening in Jeddah. Kind of like it's very impromptu, you know. They're like going, "Fuck this bullshit! Fuck you, CCP! I'm shooting the monument." It's like, oh, let me sell you some meta items, bro, to carry you over. Oh, Rain! Hey, how you doing? Nerfs that came out today. I talking about fighter damage nerfs. Is that what came out today?
I think that would be it. Yes.
Just reading through the Yeah, the fire damage. Oh man.
Mm.
I
The solution is just to plug an implant for warp speed and call it a day. I guess it's what people jokingly said around the channel. Is just plug an implant and be done with it.
yeah, yeah. Oh, Ray says I see he sold a ton of plasma medium ammo over the weekend. Dude, people are just mad, man. I mean, as far as the fighter damage, I mean, uh, I think it would have been more painful if it was an application nerf, not a raw damage nerf.
Hmm. Well, I mean, it would have been painful if at some point they stopped from one-shotting everything up to cruisers or something like that. That would make it really painful for them. But since they still one-shot all of those, and probably one-shot battle cruisers, and the only difference is that you can hardly two-shot battleships now because there was a fit for supers that allowed you with an officer drone damage amplifier to one-shot to two-shot battleships, but now you can't do it. So, like, pretty much the only people who are really affected by this change for ratting are those who had that fit, and now they're just basically on the same level as everyone else. So, ironically, it is indeed nerfing the 1% of the 1%, but not in the way CCP expected.
Nope. And
Because the only person who are affected are those with an officer and DDA, pretty much.
Yep. I mean, it was such a cluster, to be honest. You know, it, it was bad cherry picking of data. It was just bad. It was from a community manager perspective. It was a shit show. Unfortunately, it really could have been handled better. It just that it wasn't. Well,
Yeah,
we'll see.
because there's so many people using carriers to make their money. I mean, what did they expect the amount of reactions would be that small? I mean, it sounds like a bit like wishful thinking to think that so few people would be interested in it.
Yeah, I mean,
The numbers make it seem small, but like everyone I play with uses a carrier pretty much to make their money.
yeah, I mean, at the same time too, it's. I mean, did it need to be nerfed? Yeah. I just wish that they found a way to. So if the actual intent of the nerf is to curb the ISK faucets,
Mhm.
applying the balance to the ship seems like a really shitty idea.
I mean, then they did clarify and said that they wanted carriers to be less strong in PvP, but this is where it gets kind of sketchy because we're not sure if this is a move that's made to appease the community or if they actually are that out of touch with PvP right now.
I think they're really out of
Because
touch with
carriers are
PvP.
carriers are really bad. Well, it's just you just drop dreads, you drop warders on the enemy, and you just blow theirs up, and then you have superiority, and you can start wrecking all of the subcaps with dreads, and that's it basically. That's what happens right now,
Yeah,
even before
yeah.
the nerf.
Like right now, it hasn't. I'll be honest. I don't think the nerf's that bad because you know what? I have several super carrier operators. They're still carrying on. I have
Oh yeah,
several
no, I don't think
carrier.
it's
You know what
that
I
bad
mean?
for
They're still
it.
carrying on. They're not. It's not nearly as bad as the second round of Rorqual nerfs where I
Oh, that
legit
was awful.
I lost Rorqual operators. I like they're like they straight. You know what? I'm gonna extract everything and just and put it on carriers, and which they did, and that's how they adjusted. But from here, I don't know how my operators haven't adjusted. So I'm not too worried about it, to be honest. That tells me
No,
it's not that bad from a
no.
even from a mid level ISK making scale.
And even if the nerf was a flat 10% to all bounties, it would still not be that bad because 10% over such an amount means it's still quite profitable after all. Because I mean, you don't have any variable cost. Once you have the car, you just rat, right?
Yep. Let's see what we got next. So the next item. Oh, there was a Blue Horseshoe Club podcast that happened over the weekend. I'll link that. So that was headed by Caleb, McLeod was there, Shenden was there, and one of the new bros there, Cliff Beaufort? Let's see his name. Cliff Boland. There you go.
Oh yeah, this guy. Yeah. I do remember talking to him a little bit.
Yeah, I like Cliff, man. He's a cool dude. Brand spanking new to the game. Not really brand spanking new, but maybe like less than a year or something like that. Maybe 2. But he's, pretty active in the community already, so that's good.
I mean, we say that, but I've been back to the game only for under a year, like seriously, and I've probably, if you had up all the time, I've played it probably like 1 or 2 years at most, but yeah, it's 1 or 2 years is still quite a bit.
Ray's like, yeah, about 6 weeks in. But I'm 6. Oh, man, what was I doing? I was a hardcore miner in the beginning, man. 6 weeks in, I was still mining in a mining cruiser. They had mining cruisers back then. I was mining in a scythe. A scythe was one of the minerals.
I wasn't mining myself, but I do remember those times.
Yeah, the mining cruisers, which now are the mining. I'm sorry, are now the cruiser lodges. Mining pissed me off according to Ray. It's like, yeah, it's just a boring mechanic. It can be better, but yeah. So also check that out, guys. And then I'll be around. I'm pretty sure I'll be able to help out with episode 4 if we do have an episode 4 this weekend. I'm sure we do. It was a really interesting episode. They talked about kind of like really high level meta stuff, not necessarily in-game meta, but actually kind of real life like business type stuff in relation to EVE. Talked about intellectual property and kind of where do we fit in there as players when we actually create things. So it's pretty interesting. This is the June updates, guys. And the biggest takeaway I have from that is the drop rates change for the pirate faction battleships. I'm not too afraid of it, to be honest with you, because it feels like it's going to be the same effect that the drop rate change for the small ancillary armor uppers, how that panned out, which basically net effect 0. Like it never happened.
But even then, CCP is secretive about the drop rate ranges. We don't really know. They could have dropped like 4 times as few, and we wouldn't know anything about it right now.
Yeah, I mean that's one of those things. Like I don't think it's ever. I don't ever recall them ever publishing drop rate information on anything. Not really. I don't think so.
Do you think that would be a good thing though? Because that sounds interesting. It will make the metagame so much more complex, and I mean, not really more complex in the sense that more difficult, but it would add an element that it would make the market so much more interesting as well, because you would know the drop rates.
You'd actually know, right? Yeah, I mean, does it? Like I play other MMOs and drop rate percentages. That's stuff that gets published during updates, so that the players know. You know what I mean? So they can, do whatever they gotta, so they can meta the shit out of that information.
Yeah, because being able to meta that information out would be so good, because you could then see if an item is being stockpiled or if it's being used somewhere else than you expect it to, and all that kind of information is kind of lost right now, because if someone were to stockpile meta or dead space items, you wouldn't really know until the stockpiles goes out.
Yeah, and that, and it just gives you a baseline, and it also keeps the developers honest. And one of the more annoying things that I've seen when they describe adjusting drop rates like that, I forget what it was for, but it was basically the way they worded in the patch notes, like adjusted drop rates slightly or something. Like, what the fuck do you mean slightly? What does that mean? What does that even mean? No, near nothing. Was that even worth mentioning at this point now? Jesus.
Yeah, and do they even mention it when they do slight adjustments like that? Because they do seem to miss a few. They did miss a few things that they probably didn't think were very important. But like, for example, the contract changes that no one pointed out quite quickly. Those weren't in the patch notes either. And they
Really?
probably
Which
didn't seem.
changes were those? Talking
The
about this
changes to
most recent change.
it was like a few months ago.
Mm.
It's the changes to the contract tax rates.
Oh yeah.
And well, I mean, they didn't publish like anything about it. But obviously, you would know this if you post any contract. But imagine the same for drop rates. I mean, you wouldn't know, and then things would happen, right?
Yeah, it's almost as if I don't know. Sometimes it feels like I always get afraid when CCP makes an economic-based change. I get really afraid. Like I stop trading altogether sometimes when they're about to do something directly affecting the economy. Now I'm not talking about ship balancing, but like like a drop rate change or some incredibly fundamental thing. Like I have to like lay off the market because I don't want to get caught.
Oh, we're gonna have to talk about skins now.
Oh Lord, skins, Jesus. I wish I knew more of that stuff, man. It's not so much on my radar. Speaking of skins, the Rogue Swarm event should be on now.
And this is where drop rates also kind of hurt everyone. I mean, not to hurt everyone, obviously, but the change in drop rates from like 0 to something kind of made for interesting changes now. You have skins dropping tenfold or stuff like that. It's kind of ridiculous.
Rain says all you got was. Is there any good looking sets though, Rain, for this event?
I haven't looked at how they look. I just looked at the prices of some skins being completely wrecked. And I tried to estimate. And then again, that's the problem with drop rates. I want to estimate when I should buy them, but it's a complete crapshoot.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe that's the intent.
You know what I mean? I can see if the skin is nice if people want to buy it, and if the price is probably good for people to buy it. But
yeah.
The market could be flooded tomorrow, and like everyone.
It'll be flooded by out or downtime for sure, because they would have cycled through prime time for every time zone. That's all it takes. Unfortunately, just one.
I'm kind of considering making a stockpile of it as well. When it gets a little too low for my taste, like, there's a price at which skins are just like joke items. Like for example, I made a bet whoever would get their puzzle out first with a friend. It's like, let's get a 50 million skin for that bet. And I mean, like 50 million, something like this, like ridiculously cheap in the grand scheme of things. So past a certain point, if the market stops being flooded, I think I'll just buy cheap skins right there. If they're actually nice looking.
I mean, do they ever, once the event is over, do they ever cycle back into those skins, or do the skins just become readily available after that anyway?
It's weird because some of the skins that appeared in the event were not supposed to be available anymore. So this begs the question: are they gonna come back? Are they gonna be like in the store? Are they? It's really difficult to say, I think.
Yeah, it's true. We'll see how it plays out. All right, next one we got, guys, is the monthly economic report. The Imperium News actually did a really good, although it was only on a small section of the monthly economic report, a good article concerning that.
So let's talk about Delve then.
I mean, yeah. I mean that's really the star of the show, right?
Yep. To think that the biggest entity in the game pretty much would like just keep a region and mine it forever and ever. I'm not surprised.
Yeah, why not? You know what I mean? Like they put themselves in a position where they can. And
to be fair, considering the amount of people that are in the game, and considering the fact that over like 6,000 people can cohabitate in only one region, don't you think that raises the question that it's too space is too valuable, maybe, or it has too many resources?
Or that
Because
space is too valuable.
maybe,
I think it's
but
that
for
space.
any region to have over 6,000 people in it is, consider the scale of the game, seems to be a little much.
I mean, like I don't like I can't think of any other place that can even accommodate like half of that population. You know, Providence definitely not. Kalevala Expanse no. Drone areas probably not. And if they
I
were,
mean, you
you're
could
just
do
there to
two
farm.
drone regions because they're like next to each other, really.
Yeah, but you're literally just there to farm, right? There's no content beyond that. I guess otherwise
Hmm.
you'll be the content.
Yep.
But at the same, you know, like the selling point of Imperium is not so much. At least it's my opinion. I think the selling point of Imperium is not really we're big or bad. It's that there's an actual culture in the game. That's the real selling point. I think a lot of people don't really care what about the ratting so much as it is. At least I'm ratting with people that I can rely on. Hopefully, if I get caught, you know what I mean. There's an actual fostering of culture there. It's just hard, it's difficult to replicate that, you know. And when people get comfortable there, they just stay there. They just stay there, you know. Or people have alts in there. You know, it's kind of a
I don't think so much about the culture being special, but rather it being a very stable entity that doesn't require people to move every time,
yeah, because they're not
and people
really
can actually stay, right?
yeah, they're great defenders, right? They're kind of bad at attacking, but they're really really good at defending based on their size, right? At least from what I can tell.
Hmm. I mean, they're positioned to defend themselves as well. They have the size to do it. They have the space to do it. I mean, unless they manage to piss the whole game, the whole other people playing the game off, they'll be probably there for a while.
I want to segue through this monthly economic report real quick. I don't know if you've. I imagine you've seen the report already.
Yeah, I've seen it briefly. For me, it's
Did you see
mostly.
the IS Delta? It's huge, man.
Hmm.
That's RMT money,
I don't know.
dude. There's no way it can't. There's no way that it's not RMT money. It's no way. It's too big.
But
Oh,
couldn't
so I'm
like
trying to
a
find the
lot of
slide. Sorry.
couldn't like little small changes over like a large amount of people also do that, and sometimes they also.
So right now, for the month of May, there was an active ISK delta of 15.4 trillion ISK. And as per the graph, active ISK delta is defined as the net effect of ISK coming and going with player accounts, including all GM actions. So this is injected ISK. If I'm reading that correctly? That's nuts,
Yeah,
right?
I
That's
mean,
injected ISK.
I suspect that. Uh, I suspect that's. I mean, that had to be part of the reason why they wanted to go so hard on carriers, probably. But I don't. I don't need to put my tinfoil hat for that. I just think that
It
this
just
can't
is.
make sense. It just is, and they just panicked about it because it was so big. And I
Yeah,
mean,
and Lockfox has spoken about this too. When large amounts of money, and I totally believe this, when large amounts of money literally sit idle in wallets, there's nowhere. It can only go. There's only two paths from there. Either it gets spent or it gets RMT'd.
oh yeah, well, definitely. I mean, RMT is in game where like Eve, where you can accumulate such a huge wealth. Is I think RMT is bound to be because when you end up at multiple like dozens of trillions, I mean, what are you gonna do, right? You can buy yourself a.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks that it's like a double-edged sword, right? So CCP doesn't give us content; they give us tools to create content. But I think we've genuinely found ourselves in a place where it's become too cumbersome to pick up your people, pick up your weapons, and sit in front of your neighbor's, your neighbor's lawn, demanding that they get out so you can beat the shit out of them.
Yep.
It's become too cumbersome to do that.
Yeah.
So I don't know how to even just in theory fix the problem of we're not fighting enough.
And
if there is an answer, I don't know. I don't think there is.
You can't get those few people with a lot of money to fight on behalf of, to provide resources for like 1,000 people to fight, because I mean that's the kind of money they have.
Yeah, we'll see, man.
Even if they fought themselves, I mean they could just weld Titans and it wouldn't change much really.
Yeah, but even in an age where making ISK is so much easier now, people still don't want to fight. Like I've been living in Low Sec since 2010. You know what? It gets less it feels less populated as the years go by. Of course, there'll be short periods of time where there's resurgence of activity and stuff like that. But then once that dies out and it goes back to the folks who actually genuinely live there, it's not that many people.
No, I think fighting is pretty cheap. I mean, compared to the price of SP, for example, it's pretty much nothing to lose one ship or two every now and then, and even the expensive kind of ships.
Yeah,
it's.
We'll see, man. But basically, the report says Imperium won this month. They won a lot this month. Oh man, this is crazy. It's crazy. This is too much bounties, too much cash, and it's a great incentive for RMT. I mean, that seems like a logical path, right? And the increased RMT, I think, is I think it's fair to say that the large ISK delta potentially could be displaying that RMT ISK going into the system, if I'm reading the description correctly.
Depends how the different active as well, because it could be simply that someone basically resubbed with an account with 10 trillion on it, and
it's possible. Yeah, you're right. I mean, the same way that GM actions are very weighty, right?
Indeed. And yeah, if there was some RMT, I would like to think CCP can catch at least some of it and ban people, so that would be more towards a negative delta, right?
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Let's see here. Oh man. So it looks like the Moloch PPC actually got sold.
Indeed, 500 billion. That's some people think it's way too high for a price.
Think so? But it's literally the only one in the game for now.
I don't think it's too much for Faction Titan. That's like probably better than the other even.
I've never flown a Titan, so I honestly can't say from a
stats
perspective, right?
Yeah, I mean the big thing is that it has 4 utility highs basically, which means you can fit a Sino, you can fit a jump portal generator, you can fit a Doomsday, and you can fit an environmental generator or stuff like that, I don't know, however it's called. So those would be like the 4 utility high slots you would go for usually, I think, if I'm mistaken. And I'm actually quite interested to see where the how's it called, the environmental effect generators go, because you don't see them that often, but I think they have great potential, especially when you fight on uneven doctrines such as shield versus armor, because a single environment, a single thing of those would basically bring your EHP 30% higher and your enemy is like much lower. So it's just a huge advantage if you can do it right.
That's interesting. I guess I'm kind of curious why it doesn't get used all that much. I mean, we see a lot of capital fights these
I actually
days. You know.
had seen the first one a few days ago, but that's like literally the first one I've seen,
Oh
which
wow.
was basically plus 30% shields, like probably from enemy fleet. No, it wasn't very good for us because we're in armor, but it's literally the first time I've seen it used. It was kind of weird seeing it used even. Like, I wasn't expecting that, but it was certainly a tactical advantage for the enemies.
Nice. Let's see. We'll see. Oh, just a quick investment group update. So one of the guys that we work with, he does the buyback program. I started like I think 2 days ago, buying his buyback stuff. It relieves him of the task of reselling these items. He just gets paid right away. Uh, this is my first foray actually into buying like mass contract items. I'm not gonna lie, man. Like there's more items for me to sell than I have market orders for.
Yeah, it sounds a bit odd because I think I also seen kind of the content of what he had to sell, and it's quite varied. I was surprised to see so many different items and like so many.
I at least a third of it has already sold though for me. So I think he's in Horde space, and
Yep.
he buys back these things, and so in the end he did make out a small profit. But at the same time, he's relieved of the task, right? So he can cycle through that a lot more quickly. I think in the end, it's great for him. It's great for me to get used to that kind of gameplay too. And I'm curious to see where this can lead. As far as creating internal economic motivators within our group.
I mean, there's bound to be some kind of trades like that, because one can. I mean, it's easy to streamline like one part of the operations because even if you had the biggest buyback ever, you could multi box stream traders and just get it done. But on another time, it's difficult to do both the buyback, like getting the items, repackaging them, repairing them if needed, and then moving them, and then having to even sell them on top of that. So, um, and it's also easy to collaborate on that because you can just do a contract with the other person for like GT buy and then be done with it. So wherever these kind of little contracts are easy to make, I think they're gonna happen.
Yeah,
And
I
this is
mean,
a good example, right?
I think you see that a lot through if you were to compare people who try like industry types that they want to do every single step, right, instead of actually like pawning off those steps, right, just to make things go faster and streamline, even if it is for a lower net profit per item, but then the system kind of becomes self-regulating and it becomes its own engine.
Yeah, and yeah, this is mostly about the ESC per hour you can build, and if you can do something really fast and really well, then I think you should start doing that, and then maybe with the time left over, you can explore other avenues, I guess.
Yeah, I mean it's less you're less likely to burn out if you're not doing everything yourself.
Oh yeah, that's also
God
if you
knows,
spend a lot of time per week to just
burnout's so
make
real, man.
it's
Burnout is so real. But we'll see. I'm really curious to see where it goes. And just how, as far as my first impression of this kind of operation, I really like for a while now. I've been thinking about looking for a nullsec group to actually do market stuff with. But I think doing this week has really highlighted to me that I don't actually need to be part of a nullsec group. I just need nullsec context.
yeah. I mean, if you have lots of contacts, you can always there's always a place for the Gita middleman, I think, because whatever the NoSec people do, they bring to Gita later on anyway, or either they use on the same space, and then you get into the trouble of setting up a whole logistics chain in the same place, which is time consuming. Um, or they bring it back to Gita, and then this is where you come in. And I have a few people actually bringing some significant volume through Jita as well now from PI in NoSec. So I mean, it seems like it's the thing, and it's probably where one can be, but it's really difficult to build the connections. There's a lot of people who are going to sell Jita themselves and who probably would benefit from such a service, but it's difficult to reach out, I think, individually.
Yeah, I think I'm hoping that our group can kind of grow from that idea, but we'll see. I don't know. That's definitely a question that I've posed a lot before. Is there room for dedicated marketeers in nullsec, like to actively recruit dedicated marketeers to nullsec, or is that something that needs to be done all
To
in
recruit
house?
them, I'm not sure is the right term. I think there's a place for it because making things cheaper for the alliance is not a bad thing, and like streamlining operations and all that is not a bad thing either. But once the alliance has set up their engineering complexes and just that, and things usually pick up if you're like a decently sized Mosaic alliance, and then you can kind of negotiate and try to encourage industry people to have actually a certain amount of stock in case others like in case impromptu operations happen during the day. But I don't think there needs to be like a huge push in that direction.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, because it tends to be like those are like homegrown people, right? For the most part, marketeers,
Oh
like
yeah.
very much into the weeds industry types. They're homegrown.
Yeah, I'm constantly touching on that right now. I've started seeing our staging. It's been kind of slow, but it's also kind of effort. I just released all of the ammo types and drones we need. Probably also going to start ships since I can probably get most of what I need on the buy order side. That kind of thing. I'm just testing water out. I did that forward for my first maybe for my billion number 10 to 30. I probably did that forward. I just seeded ships. It worked really well, but I also did kind of burn out of it because of the amount of work that's necessary to set up a logistics chain in NoSec.
That's a pain.
So right now I'm siding more on the purely market side of things, which is basically buying and reselling.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure. Hopefully, in the future, there's gonna be better tools to do that. Like right now, it's just like in game, there isn't a whole lot of. All right, hey, well, thanks for stopping by, Simon J. Really appreciate it. Well, we'll see. Hopefully, in the future, we'll have better tools to actually, do more market stuff. But then, that's for CCP to decide whether there's real value in that. Because we all know they're limited in dev resources.
Market tools are a tricky thing because even if we could make market tools as players based on CCP's market API, even then there's not that many people required to run a market. It's kind of a small community.
Yeah, and we're so used to just like working outside of the box, right?
Yeah, it's not something most people like or are interested in. It's also something I found when I tried to find mentees for my trading program. I've only been able to retain 2 mentees that are actually doing that on a regular basis now.
Really?
Compared to the 30 plus applicants I had, I think. There's like only 2 people who really had
That's
enough
a
interest.
that's a pretty tough retention rate, man.
I tend to be pretty tough because I'm protective of my time, but yeah, I've been a bit surprised by the amount of people who actually answered, but either didn't have the time, grit, or I would guess the personality to do it because it requires a lot of curiosity towards everything you need to actually work on the market.
Yeah, I think so too. And it doesn't. It's tough to explain sometimes. Sometimes it just like for me, like it just there's a point where it just clicks.
Yeah, and
And
when
if
you
it
get
doesn't
the
click, it's
people who And then again, those two people are the people who started actually bouncing back ideas to me. It's like they started kind of engaging in the process, and this is where I can actually help them because they can find new avenues, and we can actually talk about them in a coherent fashion instead of me having to like feed people information. So it's a lot of a different dynamic with like the two people I kept like all the way.
Do you think there's a level in there when you're doing markets where it's just more talent than a learned skill?
I mean, there is. I don't think it's talent, but I don't think it's like a skill you can teach either. I think I have to elaborate on that because there's a part of um, analytical thinking which some people are more prone to, or some people are less prone to. Um, but even that can be learned in some ways. But even then, you need after that you need to have the willingness to actually do it and to actually be curious about it. And it depends a lot on not necessarily what you learn, on what you or your talent, but rather what your priorities in the game are as well. Because if you want to figure the game out, then obviously you're gonna have a great time trading and stuff like that. But if you just want to shoot stuff, then this even if you like have the potential to be the best trader talent wise, you're not gonna do a good job at it, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's true. It's a tough thing to do because every now and then I get questions, and sometimes I feel like I'm explaining things very poorly because I have a different perception of how markets are in my scope, and then they are running out of off of a particular kind of stereotype, I guess is a word for it. When it's not really like they think the folks that have asked me a lot of questions on trading before have this very kind of compartmentalized view of the markets when I'm more holistic about it. I don't really care too. I actually don't care about profits too much. I care more about the method. So I think if you have a good, clean method, it has no choice but to be profitable.
Oh, it's going to be profitable, but then the tricky part, I think, is to maximize it and really also minimize the time you spend. Yeah. Um, but there's so many things happening at the markets that there's avenues for everyone to kind of see their niche and understand one type of item and make something profitable out of it. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's true. We'll see. Hopefully, you'll have more students, and we'll get more
I think
people in here.
I'll stay with those two, and I will probably spend more time with them as I find new avenues to trade in. Because right now
Okay.
it's a lot of experimentation going on. It's I'm simultaneously crunching numbers on blueprints, seeding in low nosec, and also crunching numbers on seeding ships right now. So there's a fair bit going on.
Okay. All right, that's a good segue into our buys and sell picks for the week here. The first one we're gonna be looking at for our buys. So this is a material for the excavator mining drones. It's a drone coronary unit. So I'm calling it as a buy because it's just dropped in price, but it looks like it's found a floor. Probably like the 2.7 mark. Let's see where it looks. All right, it tightened up already. Damn. But I think if you can, I think it's still possible to capture this item like under 3 million per unit. I think it's very possible. And as far as having an idea of where it'll pick back up, even if it goes back up to uh, sell territory, I think you're gonna be. I think it's definitely possible. Probably not at 5 million, which was a part of its 90-day high, or 6.25 million rather. I think it's possible to get this like around 3 million and sell for 4. I think that's pretty possible.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I get it. This is the third round of nerfs that we've seen for the Rorqual or the excavator drones or a combination thereof. But it's not like people are. It's not like everyone's gonna not fly a Rorqual. People are still gonna fly this thing, and people are still
Anyone
gonna
who wants
use
their AFK
excavators.
income is gonna fly Rorqual anyway. There's nothing else to.
Yeah, and it's if you just if you have the patience and just the the intestinal fortitude to kind of just sit through and just bear through these very emotional purchases that's being made in the market, man, you're gonna be a solid trader. There's gonna be solid profits in the end. You just gotta suck it up a little bit. That's how because like it's super emotional right now. The market's super emotional. It's super manic right now, and that can be a good opportunity. That can be a good opportunity for profits. Not right now, but down the line. Oh, sorry. So that's the drone coronary unit right there. The next item is the drone epidermal shield chunk. So this item spiked really, really hard between the first and second nerf, and then it went back down basically to its normal trade channel of around the 50,000 ISK mark. So it lost a lot of ground. It lost like it lost like it's a quarter of what it was. So could it find itself at that levels again? Probably not. Could it meet it halfway? I think so. You may have to wait a while though. But the funny thing about it is the volumes didn't really fluctuate that hard, considering how much of a price drop happened. So that's telling me basically it's just that no one, it's people people are dumping it into buy orders, and not a lot of people are capturing it from, people are dumping it into buy orders, but not capturing it from sell orders. If that makes sense.
And those items don't have a lot of support on their price usually, compared to the daily one they trade, because it's a stack of maybe once or twice the amount of daily volume would be enough to completely crash the price. So it suffices to actually have a small stack being dropped, and then the price can go through without any other reason.
Yeah, I mean, right at the drop, right at the actual day where you can really tell graphically that it started to settle into previous lows. It was all sell orders. It was all match sell orders. I'm almost certain that they were all sell orders because it was an actual drop in volume trading. Because you have to remember, traded volume considers buys and sells, not just one or the other. It's together. So we'll see from there. Uh, if you can survive these emotional times, I think by winter you're gonna really be rolling in the dough if you had the balls to play these now.
And this is when CCP announces another round of nerfs, and
Probably. I mean, I'll be honest. Like, it's from a design perspective, they really shouldn't have rolled out the Rorqual like that. They really shouldn't have. That's just me, though. All right, and then the excavator mining drones themselves. So we just looked at some of the materials needed to make it. Now let's look at the excavator mining drones. I wish I had more cash. I really wish I had more cash. At least like in the next 2 months, I wish I had more cash.
oh yeah. But now that you mention it, I might actually check out drones a little bit more, because I do have some cash to drop.
Dude, it dropped so hard. It literally So actually, let's look at this graph real quick, guys. I'm gonna. Raid says the excavator drones are a little old Fred Sanford's buy range. So looking at the excavator drones right now, so we have we're looking at the 9-day view. Let's actually crunch this down to. Actually, no, this is fine right here. So if you notice, the median day price ranges are falling below the 5-day moving averages. So that's a sell signal. That's then compounded, or that's like lower price, right? And that's then compounded by the 5-day moving average being below the 20-day moving average. So it's saying the price is dropping. The price is dropping. Lower and lower averages, right? Which is fine. This is a stand. This is if you have. So how much is it now? Hold on. So right now, excavator mine drones are trading at 775 to 838. Let's do a quick math. Million, of course. So that's 8% before taxes. That's almost tradable, man. That's better than Plex. You know what I mean? That's not tradable. That's super tradable. What I do caution people though is when you're trying to find something to flip and you find really good percentages like that, you have to ask yourself, can it actually maintain this? And am I buying it just because the margins are like that right now doesn't mean it's going to be like that when your buy orders get matched. But from the technical analysis standpoint, it looks like it's still got a ways that it still can go down. And the reason I say that is because everything is still literally everything is trending downwards. Everything is it hasn't found a support line yet. Because right now, what we thought, if you looked at, so 3 days ago, it looked like they had found support at the 880 million mark. But now it dropped back down. I wouldn't be surprised if the price goes to 750 million consistently. It wouldn't surprise me at all one bit. I think that's
it did remain for there for a bit the last nerf though. So I mean,
yeah, it hung around 750 mil 90 days ago for sure. Yeah. So definitely possible. If you had the ability to wait, or at least just put it in your quick bar so you can more easily check it throughout the few weeks, right? I think it's very possible that it will get close, if not go below 750 million. Right now, observe it. It's got a ways to go down still, based on the graphical evidence. What do you think about these, by the way, man? Because it's a hot topic.
Drones are a bit of an emotional topic for me because I had to sell about 70 of them at 750 now.
70? Holy shit!
So basically what happened is that I went off on the weekend with a stack of Elite Drone AIs, and when I came back from my little vacation, there was dinner.
Yeah, I mean,
and
it's almost safer to do materials.
The best thing for me to do, which allowed me to break even actually, was to build the drones right there and then. I actually managed to do that quite quickly. I managed to sell them, and I wrote it off as a break-even thing. So that was really good considering the amount the drone AI drops. Because every other component dropped, I bought dip and I sold the drones when they were at 750, which was about the build cost. So it was all fine in the end, but it was quite a stressful episode, and it was kind of sad to see it climb up again so fast.
You were finding the excavator mine drone BPCs on contract, or did you have a specific source?
Oh no, I always buy BPCs on from LP people who sell LP.
Okay, sure. Okay, got it.
So, yeah.
Directly, a direct sale.
Yeah, I do. Right? So I could do that on such a short notice, really.
Man, I wish I had connections like that. That's like an encouraging community thing, right?
Well, I mean, I do buy. I used to buy a lot of Concord LP, but right now it's not worth it anymore for me to do it because I don't usually use the excavator drones to cash out. But before that, the price wouldn't be that far between implants and excavators, so it was still possible for me to buy at a competitive rate.
Okay, that's
So
interesting.
I was clearing a fair bit of it when I was doing that. Yeah.
I gotta ask around because that seems like a really good resource, man. Like incursionists, they have way too much LP and they don't really care for the rate themselves.
But I mean, there's like a nice channel with a Concord LP, Concord NPM game where you can. I mean, they seem to deal in small quantities, like under 1 million each. But if you're just an incursion runner at the individual level, you're not gonna have any trouble selling your LP at a good rate, I think.
Okay, I gotta check that out. All right, the next one, guys, we're gonna look as geckos. I really gotta start looking at this again. I really gotta. It looks like its support at 7 to 5 million. It looks pretty solid, and it's like it wants to start picking up. It wants to start reversing. It just hasn't found the steam to get it. But it looks like it really wants to, man.
That's very tempting as well. I think I will personally definitely consider buying a lot of them at 75 mil.
Because 75, even if you get a 75 right now, I think it's fine.
I would buy maybe 500 at that price, around that. Because that's you do trade a lot. I mean, the regular day trading size for me is like 100 of them. 500 is about probably half the daily volume. That's a big stack, but at 75 mil, I mean, it's been staying that low for that long. It doesn't make any sense.
If it continues to 7, I really, man, I wish I had cash. But it's definitely not a day trader like flip because there's only literally like a percent on it net profit.
No, it's definitely a great day trader flip if you have the tax rate.
Yeah, it's a buy and hold type thing.
If you're at 2.2, you can flip it or under.
It's like 1 and change, man. Like a hair off 2.
Oh, but they really do sell fast and buy fast. That's the good thing. So if you want to stockpile, you can actually set up a buy order, and it will fit that relatively quick, I think. So that's the good thing if you want to speculate on that.
Yeah, and it's such a consolidation channel if you look at it. Like, the median is sitting, at the top end of the Donchian channel. The 5-day moving average is the top end of the like all the markers are above in the upper half of the Donchian channel. So it's like it wants to get up there. It really does, but it doesn't have enough steam. So we'll see. I'm interested in looking at this, but I feel like as soon as I get in, I might have missed the movement. But it looks like it's just sitting there. All right, the next item, guys. So this is gonna be this may take us to so many tangents, but we'll see. So this is concerned with skill trading items. Man, it's a big topic, man.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
So we were talking before about how people weren't extracting like right away after the cardio nerf. I think that's like a good point as well. I don't see people extracting from carriers or anything like that, or oracles for that matter. However, we still have ghost training.
I thought it stopped.
It works. It still works.
Really? Fuck, I thought they addressed that.
I mean, it works like 50% of the time because, of course, if the queue of your ghost trained character is paused, then, well, of course, it's screwed. But I don't know if I should say this, but I did cash in like 3 months of training.
Oh, really? Well, it's not an exploit, though. It's not a bannable exploit.
My cap accounts are not being used right now. I don't log into them. I just train them. So I just let it lapse. And 1 month later, when they start filling with the queues, I'm not going to do it like this 1 month of training. I'm just going to resub. But the additional SP is there. It's actually there.
There you go. Well, I mean, they never said it was a bannable exploit, right? It was legit like, hey, we messed up and we kind of just let it go.
Usually they do say it when it's like that, right?
When it's bannable. I mean, I don't think it's not bannable, is it? I mean, because there's way too many people that did it.
I mean, okay, first thing first, it would have to assume that CCP will ban and will find all of the people who did it. So you get strength in numbers. But if you had trained a huge farm, I would probably think that maybe you would get this removed from you. Maybe if you had built a huge farm just for that. But if how are they going to find out? Because it's even
They
another
can't. They
mistake for
can't.
me. I didn't even want to ghost train, but I just noticed my accounts were expired, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go because I don't even log into them. And yeah, it worked.
Yeah, that's true. What can you do? I mean, it is what it is. All right, but and I think the main reason I put this for buys, guys, is because of the combo. It's like the perfect storm. So you
Mhm.
got Rorqual slash excavator mining drone nerfs. You got fighter damage nerfs.
Mhm.
You got the anomaly timers. So the reason I'm saying so from here, so based on those changes, what would you say is now the best way to make ISK in nullsec with that in mind?
Oh, super redding, definitely.
Still super ratting. Okay.
Oh no, in nullsec, super redding. Um, or I mean, you can start becoming really good at it, and maybe multi-box subcaps if you're really good at it. Because because super still require a bit of micromanagement and everything. So mm, either one of the other, but still going to be batting in. But probably super. It's like it's the easiest way. It's like one account. You get a super. You get you for a few hundred per. I mean, a good amount of hundreds per hours, and you get your plays. It's fine. But then there's also an interesting way to make ISK, which is level 5s in LoSec, which is a bit better, but a lot more hassle because you need three
Yeah, there's a
accounts and
lot
a
of
lot of
support
stuff.
activities that have to happen, man.
No, you need four accounts actually. You need like four characters, and you need a lot of stuff to do
It's not
it.
even that.
And
It's think about the security.
it's a little bit better than super adding. I mean, it's better than super adding by
Really?
like a decent margin. Oh yeah, it is. It is definitely. Um, but yeah, it's unless you know what you're gonna get into, you probably will have trouble to find out by yourself.
Wow. I mean, right now, so it's kind of so let's kind of paint the picture, right? So you can't manufacture skill extractors. You can only buy them using Plex, and it gets traded around from there, of course, right? So extractors right now are being priced above average. Okay, great. Extractors tend to signal the price direction of the injectors. Right? So right now it's above average. Large scale injector.
Mm-hmm.
It's still below average. It hasn't moved in parity with the scale extractors yet. Eventually, it has no way to go. It doesn't
Yeah,
make
it's gonna get
sense.
stuck.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense for extractors and skill injectors to really moving in the opposite direction for too long. It just doesn't
I
make
think
sense.
injectors are gonna become like PI soon enough.
What do you mean?
It's gonna be basically a way to more or less have an account for free without getting like you're just gonna have a free account and maybe like you have to pay a little bit to compensate. So that you can run like other stuff like copy farms for that on the account.
But in a monthly, in a 30-day time frame, do you think that's enough time to actually make up the cost of Plex right now? Because Plex right now is what, like 1.4, 1.5,
Plex
right?
is 1.35 right now, I think. Unless it
Oh,
changed
okay.
it since I
That's
looked,
okay.
it's not too bad. Um, but is it really? Yeah, I don't know. I can't be sure about it because the demand for injectors is still kind of huge, but It wouldn't be surprising, let's say, for it to move towards some kind of simple compensation plan to have like a free account running and not actually making any ISK out of it, but just having a free account that runs and that has some other characters and skills on it, like sign arts or whatever.
Yeah, that's true. I just want to go back real quick on the skill extractors, kind of delve deeper in the technical analysis of this, guys. So you can see the skill extractors is going above average. However, it's going above average at low volume. So what this tells me is this is predominantly being captured from sell, from the sell side of the equation. Let's take a look at that actual prices. It's so slim too, 306, 311. Holy shit. Hardly anything in there.
Oh yeah, it's very slim, and that's different.
Not flipped. It's not being flipped.
Before.
I mean, you don't really.
306, 311. You could flip it still, but
if it's all in a 0%, yeah, like in perimeter, yeah.
You would be better off buying Plex and selling the injectors probably because of the low volume. I mean, selling the extractors because of how few extractors are sold on buy orders. I really had a lot of trouble getting them off by orders. I would say just get Plex instead and convert it.
So I think we can safe to say that due to the direction that the skill extractors are going, the large scale injectors will eventually follow. We just don't. It's hard to tell right now where that reversal point's going to be, because the median prices in the last 7 days or so is trending below the 5-day average. So it's got, we kind of discussed that earlier this stream, guys. So basically it's got some more room to drop in price. So it's hard to tell where the reversal is going to happen. Just expect that there is going to be a reversal. So be mindful of that. It wouldn't surprise me if this actually reverses at around 700 million. It wouldn't surprise me at all.
That's also a sensible point. I guess 700 is.
Yeah, it's just trending slowly towards there. Now let's look at that relationship with Plex.
This is where it gets interesting, doesn't it?
Yeah, man. Because right now Plex is basically mirroring the pattern of the extractors. It's really creepy.
So far, so good.
Yeah, it's ahead. So it's tracking ahead of skill injectors. I'm trying to remember if that's actually the pattern before. That's hard. I don't think. I mean, because once they reach parity, they kind of stay in parity. But it makes sense for Plex and extractors to track, right, and then injectors follow later.
That's an interesting pattern as well. You would think it's difficult to actually. I mean, it makes sense in some sense because people are going to Plex and then get the injectors a month after. But you'd think some smart people who do arbitrage would catch up on it and kind of diminish this pattern. And I guess we might see this happen if the margins between the cost of Plex and the cost of injectors gets thinner with time.
Yeah.
It's really interesting if it's actually, as you said, if it's like exactly matching the pattern in a delayed fashion, because it makes sense in theory, but you would think some other factors would actually adjust a bit for it.
Yeah, I mean, right now, if you really want to risk it, you could probably buy Plex right now and expect it to go up a little.
Oh, actually, a little more. I did see a lot of a barricade of orders for Plex around.
Like ProBag levels of barricading.
Oh yeah.
Maybe too.
Well, maybe not ProBag levels, but it's like someone with a similar amount of risk.
This dude is so tight right now. It's 2.7, 2.7.
It was at 2.68.
Nah, dude, it's.
There were people wrestling at that amount.
It's priced like it's priced, like when they try to push the price to go one way when it's so close together. That's what's happening right now. at low volume too, so it's all sells right now, or at least the last 2 days where it's predominantly sells.
But if you need to flex, well, I guess buy it right now. It's not a bad idea.
Yeah, I mean, like, if the ghost training, I could have sworn they said they stopped it, man. But you're saying they haven't yet.
I mean, maybe they stopped it like for some part of it, but
Because if
it's
they stopped it,
paused.
there's no reason for me to buy a Plex
Thing
to
is,
recover my account.
it did pause active accounts, and it forgot to pause some like alpha accounts, which is it sounds so weird.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Like I wouldn't be incentivized to actually recover my alpha at that point.
Mm.
So you would think that. So why are they why are these dudes selling or buying Plex right now, man? Fuck.
Well, I mean, if you had a if you had a ton of Plex before, you liquidate it when it goes very high, like it did before, and you want to replenish that stockpile eventually, right? Because then you want to have it ready for like the next crazy things that happens. And that's why I was saying like this is probably some crazy pro bag level of risk behind it, because you start making huge stockpiles of Plex when you really have that much risk, and you just ride the market with them and just have a stockpile ready to either liquidate or deal with insanely high prices and just sell the Plex to get some profit. I mean, that's probably what's happening right now.
I mean, it's super aggressive. It's and to be honest with you, I mean, like yeah, we know it is Plex, but I don't think you'd normally see this kind of aggression if Plex used to cost the way it did. You know, because you can definitely be more aggressive at 2.7 million per, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see how it plays. It's a really strange pattern. So the moral of the story, I think, guys, is be mindful of the large skill injectors where you can, and maybe even the small too, you know, and be observant of when they start picking up in price in order to be in parity with the extractors. So be mindful of that pattern, that relationship. You know, Plex to extractors, extractors to injectors, and it works like clockwork. It honestly does. You just have to kind of understand the relationship and um, why there's a demand for those types of things. If you can identify those, I think you'll really be ahead of the game.
Uh-huh.
All right, now let's move on to cells. Dude, it felt so good to actually write this up. Pirate faction battleships. Oh my god, that made so much money. Did you have any on stock during all this?
What in particular?
Faction battleships, pirate.
Oh, this is where I brag actually.
Dude, I made sick money. Sick.
185 Balborn blueprints.
Jesus.
I was like thinking, okay, maybe I should kind of get off my ass this month and get 100 billion. And now I'm sitting at 120, thinking, okay, I could spend 20 billion now.
I had what did I have
It's
in
not
stock?
bad.
I had
I
rattlesnakes mostly in stock.
it was so weird because I
We'll
did
start from
everything
Vargas.
wrong, and then things happened right for me because I was buying Balgons when they were a little too high at 110, 115, where I should have bought them at 85. But I was pretty convinced that Balgons would be good because of the shield slaves coming in eventually. And maybe because of the T3 series balance, because they're actually good web ships and they might replace Loki eventually. But then the perfect storm happens because they announced the T3C nerf, which is a lot worse than we thought it would be. We thought it would be like just a rebalance or a small, how to say, just a small like change to the general idea of T3C, not just a huge nerf. And then battleship thing happens, so it's just a perfect storm for that.
Yeah, it
But
really is.
Balgons would have been fine, but they would have been fine in 1 year and not right now. So I'm happy to liquidate that stockpile and not consider it for like another year.
Yeah, so right now, basically all of the as an entire category, pirate faction battleships are up. As a direct response to the fighter damage nerf, to the rogue wall nerf, to all those, you know, this is a PVE response, basically. I think predominantly, I think this is a PVE response. I was holding on to rattlesnakes at a time, and I'll be honest. I mean, I made more than 10% net profit of the rattlesnakes. I could have made more, but I wasn't anticipating this. Like, not at this ferocity. No, I honestly was not. So,
And I think they might be overreacting also on the
oh, dude, it's so manic. This is so emotional, man. It's so emotional. This is emotional buying.
But when that happens, you just gotta sell them.
Yeah, I mean,
that's gonna argue with those people.
Yeah, I mean, there was comments. Do you think this is the top end of the price tag? Like, yeah, this is definitely top end right now. Like, it's reaching ludicrous levels. You know what I mean? Eventually, people are gonna say, no, that's way too much. I'm not gonna buy that. Because this is definitely not a doctrine change response. This is a ratting ship response.
Yes, definitely. And it's no reaction because you could still like just change a couple of mods on your riding carrier and just get 10% DPS this way. So
yeah, I mean, it's like players being like super into min-maxing, right?
Just put some plans to work faster and optimize your stuff a little bit, and you'll be like there. The only thing is that if you're like already super optimized, then yes, this hurts you as by like 5%, but it is still quite a good risk.
Mm-hmm. It's something that looks like it's dropping already. Like the volume is actually reacting. So we'll go through it real quick, guys. But basically, the entire category is up. So if you happen to have these laying around or BPCs, and you can quickly turn them into ships, you have the minerals on hand, etc. And you don't intend to use them, sell them. People are buying them right now. How long it's gonna last? Probably not much longer, to be honest. The Bargus, the latest median price is actually way below average, so it should be tracking down soon.
The sales are slowing down right now, actually. So you want to be aggressive and like do it now, I think.
Yeah, you should have done it like a few days ago.
Yeah, I mean, I was a bit sad because I had to go sleep at 2 a.m. because I couldn't. I had to wake up at 6 a.m. That's the worst part. I would have to go. I would have stayed 2 more hours. I probably have finished my pile, but now I'm still sitting on like 20, 40 of them.
Yeah, like dude,
I want to sell them the same day just to liquidate it. Like, it was not it was not very responsible to do so.
Yeah, I mean across the board, the really high volumes are simmering down, so it's about to reverse. And when this reverses, it's going to reverse really hard. Nestor's up, Macario's up. We just saw that. Nightmare up. Everything's up. Even the Victory Edition is up slightly. Balgorn. Oh man, pretty. But the volume is like it's pretty ludicrous volumes, man. In a span of like 5-6 days, it from 300 to 100, lower than 100. Rattlesnake, dude, I was holding onto this at like 60-day lows, and then it jumped up. I'm like, what is this? Oddly enough, though, it's just the ships getting bought. I at least didn't notice any crazy volumes for the modules that you would normally see along with these ratting setups. So it looks like people are grabbing up ships for the most part, and that's it. It could be purely speculative too, like dudes just trying to wash ISK out of the system using these as their platforms. It's possible. Hell, even the Vindicator's up, man. You never see the Vindicator up. Like the Vindicator's really the most oddball one to me, because it's just really oddball. It trades so tight. Otherwise, it's really strange to see it escalated.
Yeah, after it a few, it's been very stable. It's just, but then it's not that huge of a volume, so it going crazy with that kind of weird stuff happening might make sense because there's not that much to It isn't that much
Yeah, it's really not.
volume to bring it down.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's one of those like the weight of the volume is really high. All right, so I'm sticking with my guns on this, guys. You know, I don't think it's gonna get that much higher. A lot of these are because of the shifting volume. You know, like to lowered volume. I think it's about to reverse. So if you happen to have these laying around and you don't intend to use them, sell them, sell them. If you have blueprints and you can quickly build them, sell them. But honestly, you really should have been hot on this price movement like a few days ago, like at during the ragey weekend. Oh, you know. But if you're not, there may be time to actually act on this. But the window is closing, so. Another response to those the scares is an increase in value in Ishtars and Vexor Navy issues. So this is basically a PVE response again. Looking at the Let's look at the Ishtar first. Man, I'm not a fan of using the Ishtar, man. but seeing Ishtars on field creates content.
I mean, anything new is good for me. I mean, I'll open up to any like new doctrine. That would be fun, because right now Macros of mine is getting a little bit boring.
Yeah. So right now, if you're a builder and you happen to have the components ready, Ishtars are sitting at 90-day highs, like high 90-day highs. So there's that. Volume seems to be actually not crazy inflated, so just people buying more of them, more items getting matched on the sell side versus buy side, which is fine. It's to be expected because Ishtars are even after all those incremental nerfs, Ishtars were still pretty good. And another ship that got a lot of attention up to now is the Vexor Navy issue. The drones.
Oh yeah, it's of course for routing, obviously as well. It doesn't sound like a bad idea for those. I mean, they've always been interesting, but
yeah, dude, the VNI was like a little. It was tracking down, and then it just bounced right back up or like 2-3 days before the weekend, which is really odd. Really odd that it started tracking before the announcements.
Oh, it also sometimes goes up for no particular reason, and then goes down again. It just seems to happen with the VNI, which is why
it's the more popularly used Navy faction cruisers. So it's got a lot of its volume is it's powerful. It's powerful, right? When you're
Yep.
It's a powerful indicator, volume. All right. Well, this is gonna be really interesting to see these next week, because I think a lot of these would have reversed by next week. I really believe a lot of these will reverse by next week.
Well, for me, I think the takeaway from that is probably geckos and drones. Drones all actually, so that's good.
Yeah, you know, a lot of the drone. Yeah, I mean the geckos, right, and the sentries. A lot of the sentries actually didn't see too much price changes, but maybe we will once these ships start. The prices get are normalizing again.
But sentries are also something you use a lot with the faction battleships. Is it? It assumes sentries would be something you use a lot with the faction battleships as well. So
yeah, that and for the Ishtar.
Oh yeah, that too. Yeah. So with the Ishtar, it would make sense. That would. But then if faction battleships are used a bit less, then it also goes the other way. Interesting to actually keep a look for maybe next week, I think.
Yeah, I mean, hell, man. Once the rattlesnakes start tapering off, I really believe that's when the geckos will pick up.
Yeah, I'm just curious how long it will take. That's definitely a thing, because it's been so stable for so long. It's difficult for me to see exactly when it should pick up.
Yeah, let's see, man. Oddly enough, the faction modules that would be good for these, like the faction drone damage amps, Not a lot of movement. No, there's no
I don't know
movement
what's
on
up
drone
with them
damage stuff.
because they've been insanely profitable to actually trade for LP right now, and
The Fed Navies.
$50 like yes. Fed Navy's TDAs are 150 right now, or
Oh
140,
wow.
which makes no sense because I mean usually I'm very happy to sell them at home at 35.
Yeah, it's just really weird, man. I mean, it's almost
The
as if
underlying,
like people are. I don't know. It's everything's out of whack.
the underlying tax went more expensive as well, of course, but it has to be driven by something. I mean, probably like.
Oh, Wraith is asking, Alphas can fly the VNIs, right? I'm pretty sure they can.
Yep, that's
That's
the
why they're so popular. Zaydula Rising says faction EDAs because carriers. Oh, okay, yeah. And it's at least the Fed Navy ones. My hypothesis on those is a portion of those really are just being used to wash ISK away from LP.
Oh yeah, that's really good. I mean, that's not a really efficient method to cache all
No,
the
it's not.
LP.
But we will do it anyway. I do it.
I do it because I can set up the bioorders for the tags and wash them away. But it's more of like a market flipping thing than a
For small scale, it's almost worth it, honestly.
Oh, if it's like a scale of 1%, then yes, it's a big enough item to absorb like your demand. But if you need to wash out large quantities of ISK, Guarantee LP isn't worth so much that you want to exclusively stick to that.
No, like, dude,
just go with implants.
I can wash away Kaldari LP right now on dang large shield, Kaldari large shield extenders. It's ridiculous right now. It's I don't anticipate. Actually, that's a really good question. If Amar is still at zero system, they went to zero like last week. They're still at zero. That's really bad. That's a really, really bad sign. That means people aren't bothering. People aren't bothering because they got fucking Citadel as a low sec now. You know what I mean? Like, why bother? That's another episode right there. Man, I can go on for hours on Faction Warfare. It's my home. I live there. Like, I'm using my trader there for fuck's sake. I'm still winning.
You went all in, basically.
I literally went all in, man. Like it's like I feel bad when I kill people using my trading team. Like I am so sorry, bro. But some ships are just so popular. It's so powerful still. Like the Galanti line for frigates is so powerful. Like much more oppressive.
The drone damage is so strong because
yeah, I mean much more oppressive than the Rifter ever was. Way more oppressive. Back in the day, you know, it was Rifter or go home for frigs.
I mean, it's hard to manage your drones and stuff, but you end up having 3 high slots, and basically you can choose if you want to have your low or mid slots. Then it's like you have so much flexibility for the
It is. It's crazy, man. Dude, we should like get people from the SEC lounge and do like a low sec roam and like really blingy ships for giggles.
Oh, I actually wanted to do something for my birthday, like a super.
Oh yeah, dude, we should, man.
I wanted to see how far you could be ridiculous with a Hick because I'm kind of known to use Hicks all the time.
If we get anywhere near Amamaka, you know, we're gonna get jumped. It'll be great.
I wanted to fit a devoter with 2 A-type nanoplatings at 1 billion. I mean, just like the 7 billion each, like, right? And then go in like full slave pod, maybe with a 6 or 8% in it, with all of the 5% implants you need, with all the faction stuff. I mean, it's like going like really all the way, and like having like a 7 billion thing flying around, and like dropping whatever on it. Like I would probably sign away and drop in something. You need to find
an excuse. We'll have to figure something out. Alrighty, man. I think that's really all I got. Great talks, man. I think we did less tangents this time around.
I mean, yeah, this week seems to be still interesting, even though I mean CCP keeps bringing it. So I mean, I'm not gonna complain.
Yeah, we'll see. And just if anyone's interested in joining us, I gotta figure out a way to make a. Oh, I wonder if there's a way to make a clickable link for the Discord, but I'll see. Surely there is, like outside of chat, kind of like click on the screen type deal. I don't know if that's possible, but. All right, but that's really all we got, guys. Any last words there, anything, any shout outs or anything like that?
No, I think we're good for this week. I'm hoping maybe some of you will join next week in the voice chat. It would be nice to also have a bit of a chat with other perspectives, because we do have more perspectives, and
Yeah. I mean, Corel says he can start joining us in a few weeks when he's done with like classes and stuff. Night Fox, I think, we'll try to at least as well. Jushin too, Jushin Dragon, good guy, man.
that would be nice to meet Jushin for once. Yeah,
I know, man. Jushin's like super low key, like big money, low key big money. Alrighty, well, thank you very much, guys. Really appreciate it. And we'll be back next week. Our only shout out really is just shout out to the dudes in SEC Lounge. Shout out to the dudes that do our investment stuff, and be strong out there in the market, man. It's an emotional time in the market right now, but think of it as an opportunity for profit, like by winter, because a lot of things are about to go on sale, and they're already starting to go on sale. And I think if you pick wisely, I think it'll really make out by wintertime.
yeah. There seems to be a lot of opportunities right now. Maybe waiting a little bit longer for the people to go less crazy will bring the prices back to somewhere you can find good deals. And definitely looking forward to next week, because I'm gonna be on the lookout throughout next week also for good deals. So we might have some interesting things coming up.
Yeah, some compare and contrast stuff, right?
Yep.
Alrighty, well, thank you very much, guys, and we'll see you next week.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Thanks. See you then.